Hello again, nerds. Welcome to another episode of the news. This week, what if in music I told you that a longtime staple of the nu metal scene back in the 2000s is not only returning, but is bringing with them some new music? Then in gaming and tech, we have a new challenger in the realm of handheld gaming that isn't a third party, but unless you've lived under a rock, you already knew that. We also need to talk about, in Marvel comic book side of things, we have a Marvel superhero returning, but he's coming back wrong. Then in movies, we have one of the hot up-and-coming stars that's going right now, just got cast alongside Ryan Reynolds for Star Wars. And the rumor mill is kind of abuzz with a new leak that might be a sign that we're getting one of the biggest potential crossovers in gaming history. Has to do with a certain four-fingered family. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. There's honestly a bunch to talk about here. So let's just, without any further ado, let's grab our dubbies and get to it, shall we? Okay, so let's talk music first. Are you ready for kind of off the wall, though still very much anticipated, nu metal revival? Well, we have Spineshank returning for real, not just for that reunion tour that we talked about a couple weeks ago. Who had this on their 2025 bingo card? Not me. Turnstile just announced a new massive tour. We're going to get into details of that. And then also, speaking of legendary tours, what about one of the biggest thrash metal albums of all time is going to be played from front to back on tour by the two brothers who wrote the damn thing? We have that, and we have quite a bit more in music news, so let's do this. Okay, no follow-ups or corrections here for music, but we do have new music to talk about. So kicking things off, we have a new record from Signs of the Swarm. A new record is called To Rid Myself of Truth. It is out August 22nd. You can go check out the first single from the record if you follow the link down in the description over to the Signs of the Swarm Bandcamp page. You can also check out their previous outings, and once the new record drops, it will be up there as well, so go check that out. Continuing on with new music, we have Orbit Culture has also announced the release date for their next record called Death Above Life, due out October 3rd via Century Media. I honestly didn't look to see if they have a Bandcamp, so they probably do, I'm sure. But go check it, go look for it, or I'll link it in the show notes if I can remember to do that. But yeah, Orbit Culture is good stuff. I'm super stoked for the new record. Let's move on. From there, we have, this is more announcement of new music to come rather than new music that has been released, but we have Spineshank have officially reunited to make new music. They're not just doing the reunion tour with, what was it, Theory of a Dead Man? No, Union Underground. Sorry, not Theory of a Dead Man, Union Underground. So they are going to be releasing a new single sometime in the course of the next couple of weeks, but they have also said in a recent interview that they are working on a brand new full-length record. So that will be out in the months to come as well, presumably before the end of the year, though a release window was not officially set in the interview. Continuing on, we have new music from Demon Hunter, and this is a really interesting one because Demon Hunter put out their last record something like 11 years ago, is that correct? A most recent record, October of 22, so I take that back. It was 3 years ago, I can do math. But their last full-length record was October of 22. They have since put out seven standalone singles because apparently they're not on a label anymore, so they can do as they see fit. And this is just kind of, I feel like, more indicative of where the industry is going. It's really, I'm interested to see how this pans out, just because previously, its touring cycles are dependent on record releases, not single releases. So I don't know, it's very interesting. The name of the single, before I get too far ahead of myself, is Light Bends. Again, this is the 7th 7th standalone single that they have released since their last full-length record, with no signs of stopping. Maybe they're going to go the Tom MacDonald route, and once they release an album's worth of material, then they'll just collect that onto an album, release that album, and then go on tour. I don't know exactly, but we'll see how that pans out. And then over one last piece of new music this week, we have Scars on Broadway, Darren Malakian's other band, Darren obviously from System of a Down, his other band releasing their first new music since 2018 with this track that they released. The first single from this new record, I should say, is called Killing Spree. The new record is called Addicted to Violence. I did not see a release date for this one, but as we get closer to its release, once that date has been set, I will be following up with it for you. Until that point, that is what we have for new music this week. Let's talk about festivals and tours that have been announced over the course of the last week. We have probably the biggest one here is Turnstile has announced the Never Enough US tour with support from Speed. That's right, the Australian flautist hardcore band, Speed, Jane Remover, and it's just those two, Speed and Jane Remover. And then on selected dates, they'll have Amyl and the Sniffers, Blood Orange, and Mannequin Pussy. Not all three on those selected dates. It'd be a weird combination of them, but on some of those dates, we'll get all of those bands, so it's pretty interesting. Pre-sales are up now if you have a pre-sale pass, which I could not find one, so my apologies, but general tickets go up on sale Friday. The tour starts September 15th in Nashville, Tennessee, runs through October 19th in Orlando, Florida. No links. Go check out their bands in town or just their the website official for Turnstile, and you'll find the tickets for sale there, I'm sure. Our next big tour is Cavalera. The Cavalera brothers are going on tour, performing Chaos AD in full with support from Fear Factory. No other bands listed as of yet for this tour. The tour starts September 18th in Louisville, Kentucky, runs through October 18th in Dallas, Texas. Tickets also go on sale on Friday. I was, however, able to find a link for tickets on that one, so go check that out in the show notes. And that brings us into regular ass news for the music section. And just this morning, as I was finishing up research, getting ready to film, we got the announcement that Brian Wilson, one of the original Beach Boys, one of the founding members, like it was his brainchild, Beach Boy, has passed the age of 82. It seems he suffered from a neurological disorder very similar to Alzheimer's, though apparently not Alzheimer's. And that is what eventually took his life. So, yeah, this is a musical titan. I mean, he did have a pretty good run. He was 82 years old, but this is one of the best harmonic masterminds. The Beach Boys can do insane things with their 3 and 5 part harmonies that just sound incredible. And now we have lost one. So we're going to take a minute and remember Brian Wilson.
I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations.
And then picking things up a little bit, perhaps, depending on your point of view on such things, Prosthetic Records is in the news because they just got purchased by MNRK Music Group. MNRK, they have a pretty broad catalog of bands. They have a whole subsection of their label already for heavy music called MNRK Heavy. And so this is really interesting, but the operations of Prosthetic Records will be going under the MNRK Heavy umbrella, which seems that they're only going to be retaining the name of Prosthetic. It doesn't sound like it wasn't part of the press release, so we don't know exact specifics as to what portion of the workforce that was Prosthetic Records is going to be maintained and what portion is going to be let go, though when they don't specifically say, well, this executive and these people are all staying on board, usually that means they're all leaving. So very likely Prosthetic Records now only exists in name alone, though, and their catalog of bands have already started getting rolled into the fold of NRK. Some of the newer bands that they were in the process of signing to Prosthetic are now going to be on MNRK heavy. So no word exactly how the transition is going to affect bands that are already on Prosthetic, if they're going to maintain that relationship with the name, or if that's going to just alter into MNRK heavy. It seems like it's a good thing because technically now there's a lot more backing behind Prosthetic, but again, it also sounds like they're kind of just devouring Prosthetic and is going to be no more in the not too distant future. So I don't know, only time will tell, I guess. But that is what we got for regular ass news. That brings us to our suggestion for the week. Suggestion, I think, is kind of obvious, and that is Spineshank's Height of Callousness. This is the record that kind of put them on the map. Their first record, Pure Diesel, was okay. Height of Callousness, though, was one of the better in terms of nu metal, one of the better records at the time. Released in 2000, October of 2000, some of the standout tracks, very specifically, are New Disease and Synthetic. Legitimately, the New Disease song just randomly jumps into my head still to this day, and I probably haven't listened to this record in at least a decade, probably more, so that kind of speaks to the staying power and the songwriting power available on this record. But also, Synthetic was so influential, I knew a band, minor touring band, that was touring. They got their name from that record, from that song specifically. They called themselves Synthetic Delusion. A couple of their members went on to play for Motograder before Motograder became the weird science project that it is. But yeah, just a kind of a super influential and kind of under the radar all at the same time band. Go check out Height of Callousness from Spineshank. That is your suggestion for the week. Don't forget, we are sponsored, or partnered rather, with Dubby here at Generally Nerdy. Dubby is energy drinks and hydration drinks for those that know what they're looking for. Honestly, Dubby is good quality energy stuff, and the benefit to getting it in powders, though they do have cans, but the benefit to getting it in powders, especially if you're starting a health journey, you're starting to think a little bit more about, the things you're putting into your body, you can mix those powders for the caffeine content and the nootropics, which help your brain function, help your brain focus. But you can mix those with some of those protein powders that are the whey isolate clear proteins, they call them. It's basically flavored water is what those create. And then you have yourself a pretty decent little pre-workout going on. So that's what I've been doing with my Dubby recently. Super stoked that they have decided that this is a channel that they are going to be partnered with. So go check out dubby.gg and they are the only energy drink maker that do a s'mores flavored energy drink. I have not yet ordered mine, but it is on the list of things to try. I'm pretty fond of the Cali-O cream. This stuff right here, one of the best, if not the best, energy drink flavors, flavored as orange cream is my favorite, and this is literally one of the best on the market, maybe even the best on the market as far as that flavor goes. So once again, dubby.gg is the website. Code generally nerdy at checkout to get 10% off. Go check it out. I'm gonna drink a little bit more Dubby and then we're gonna get back to the show. Gaming and tech, E3 might be a thing of the past, but the info dump, the gaming dump in the middle of summer, at the beginning of summer, I guess we are, is still here to stay, apparently, because we have, since the last time we spoke, the Sony State of Play. We have Summer Games Fest presentations and Microsoft's big showcase event that revealed the new Microsoft handheld console. There's way too much to really tease in this intro. This is going to be a huge section, so let's just do this. All right, we do have one quick follow-up this week for Halo Infinite. This week for gaming, and it is Halo Infinite. Woohoo, words. So the Hayabusa armor is coming in the next operation. They're calling it Operation Legacy. That's the next season for Halo Infinite. Operation Legacy is rolling out soon. Links down below for the launch trailer and such. But yeah, real quick follow-up. That's pretty awesome. I really like the way the Hayabusa armor looks in Halo Infinite much more than I did in Halo 3, so there is that. Continuing on, we do have some trailers that were not specifically from Summer Games Fest, though or from the Xbox Showcase or from the Sony State of Play. Though you will find links to those full-length presentations, including all of the trailers down below as well in the show notes. But we got a couple of them that I didn't see. I take that back. A couple of them. One of them that I wanted to highlight, and then two of them that I don't remember seeing in those three presentations. So if they were in those three presentations, please forgive me. But the first of which is The Expanse: Osiris Reborn. This is a video game based on the book that the Sci-Fi series was also based on. Sci-Fi Channel series was also based on. Super stoked for this just because I dug The Expanse on Sci-Fi and then when it continued on Netflix. Yeah, very excited to see what they do with it here. The trailer kind of dissuades that a little bit though, because it almost makes it look super generic. And like, I guess I understand why a game would look that way trying to adapt this kind of content, because there's a lot of games that deal with this kind of content, whereas the series kind of had a look unto itself, whereas the game really doesn't, but I'm still hopeful. Anyway, the next one is Toxic Crusaders, which is a new Toxic Avenger side-scroller beat-em-up in the same vein of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade and the X-Men arcade and all that jazz. This is Toxic Crusaders, releasing in Q3 of this year, so no specific release date, just a very loose window. And then Deadpool VR. Again, this one, I'm pretty sure I did see this one in one of the presentations, but it just needed to be spotlighted unto itself just because it's super interesting doing Deadpool in VR. It sounds like it's kind of buggy from the people who've already been able to play the demo because they were at the presentation, or I think Josh from Nerdventure, or the Den of Nerds, was at a Marvel event a few months ago and they had a playable demo back then. But Neil Patrick Harris is doing the voice of Wade Wilson, which is super weird because it's almost Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this one, but it's Deadpool, so we had to talk about it. All that being said, that is what we have for trailers. Let's talk about our regular ass news this week. First up, before we get to the big, meaty, juicy bits, we gotta talk about the crazy stuff going on with tech, very specifically streamers, and the streamer I'm speaking of is WB Discovery. Technically, they're a production company as well, but the streaming is affected there. That's why it's in this section. But, so the company is splitting into two separately traded companies. The two different companies are going to be Warner Brothers Discovery, where did it go? Streaming and Studios, and then the second company is going to be Warner Brothers Discovery Global Networks. So Streaming and Studios is going to be the new home for Warner Brothers TV, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group, DC Studios, HBO, HBO Max, and WB Games, and then all studio-related operations. Global Networks is going to handle the news stuff, so CNN, TNT Sports, Discovery, Entertainment, and then other entertainment and sports as well. The split is going to be completed sometime middle of next year. The Global Network side of things apparently is going to be the larger of the two in terms of money, because they are going to maintain a 20% stake in the streaming side until it completely sells off whenever that happens. It does plan to divest from the streaming, so I worded that wrong. They're going to maintain a 20% stake in the streaming and studio side of things until they sell that 20%. The end result, the end goal apparently for this split is to make each company more intriguing, more motivating for investors. They're looking for people to give them money or to buy them out completely. So if it's a smaller company, they think that those two things are much more viable moving forward for them. That shows you that for all of the bluster, for all of the confidence that they have about doing so well in the market, like, they're still looking to sell, so they're probably not doing as well as they're trying to convince us they are. But that's what we got for the Warner Brothers split. Let's get into. We're just going to list off the things, and we're going to go in reverse order from the presentations. So of the three big ones that happened, because there were a couple other smaller ones that happened this week, and we're not going to really get into. But Of the three big ones that happened in reverse order, it's Xbox Showcase, we have the Summer Games Fest, and we have the Sony State of Play. So those are the three that we're going to be getting into, again, in that order, which is technically reverse of what they aired. So first up in the Xbox Showcase, the big reveal that wasn't a gaming reveal was the Xbox ROG, I'm sorry, I said that backwards, ROG Xbox Ally and ROG Xbox Ally X. This is going to be huge moving forward for techies, not necessarily for gamers, though it is going to be pretty big for gamers. It's another handheld on the market. Another handheld, though, that seems to function rather well, so there's that. But another handheld that has an interesting hybrid operating system setup, because you can boot directly into your Xbox, you can boot directly into a Windows operating system, or you can boot directly into the Steam OS. From what I've been able to kind of gather, it hasn't been really laid out explicitly that way. Linus kind of gets into that in his review of it, so I think I am reading this correctly. But if you think about the implications there, and you think about the modding community, you think about operating systems, there's already been concern for people over on the Sony side of things, because you can play Steam games on this Xbox console, and Sony is releasing their games through Steam for PC players. This is not going to be discernible as anything other than a small PC when looking at it from the back end, when looking at the ones and zeros. So you're effectively going to be able to play PlayStations on an Xbox console. But then the modding community, once this launches and we are able to extract the operating system setup, however the hell that works under the hood, you're going to be able to run this on a proper PC. Eventually, you'll probably be able to put this onto your Xbox console. This is kind of huge when it comes to like the players getting what they want. So I think that's pretty awesome. Also, when this does launch later this year, that's when Hollow Knight Silksong launches. They're launching in cooperation with one another, so I think that's pretty cool in and of itself. But we have a bunch of trailers that launched this week, so the only one that we're really going to be differentiating any of the trailers from their content is going to be the Xbox Showcase. So the first group of trailers that we got are games that already exist, and we're getting new, or that haven't been released yet. We know they exist though, and they're getting new trailers for the game's existence. So in that order, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Clockwork Revolution. I freaking am super stoked for Clockwork Revolution. It looks like a game that's probably, hopefully, going to scratch that BioShock itch. Gears of War Reloaded, August 26th release, though there is a multiplayer beta that starts this Friday, runs for 2 weekends. There's a lot of stipulations on how you can get into the multiplayer beta. You can't just you have to have the collector's edition of the Gears of War remastered, or you have to have a digital reservation for this new game, or there was one other way and I don't remember what it was. But there are ways to get into it. You can't just opt in, unfortunately. And then you have Grounded 2, we have Keeper, Ninja Gaiden 4 got a new trailer that looks freaking awesome. We also got word from the developer that even in spite of what he views as games getting easier in the modern era, they're going to continue with their trend of making games insanely hard. Player punishing is the descriptor that I like the most when talking about that. I feel like we're doing ourselves a disservice by calling games Souls-like games, because if I'm remembering correctly, Ninja Gaiden on the OG Xbox was out before any of the Souls-like games. I know that FromSoft was a company at that point, but they hadn't put out, the Dark Souls was the first one, I believe. They hadn't yet put out Dark Souls by the time Ninja Gaiden came out. So Ninja Gaiden was a Souls-like before there were Souls-like games. And they're continuing that with Ninja Gaiden 4, but I digress. Outer Worlds 2 got a new trailer and a release date of October 29th. Oh, Ninja Gaiden 4 was October 21st. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. There is a demo live now on the Game Store and on Steam. It is the Foundry level. I think there's only like 1 or 2 playable skaters, but you can play the demo now. Release date, I did not see the release date for it. I'm sure it's in there, I just didn't see it. So Tony Hawk's 3 and 4, go play the Foundry. It's going to be dope. Actual new game announcements is the next group, and we're going to try and burn through this. We have Anemo, which is a Pokemon-like game coming in 2026. Closed beta for PC players is happening this year for that one, though. Aphelion in 2026, At Fate's End, no release date. Beasts of Reincarnation. This looks pretty awesome, especially when you consider this is a new game from Game Freak, who are the developer that gave us the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet debacle. Seems they've gotten their stuff together. The Blood of the Dawnwalker 2026. That one looks pretty dope as well. Chronos, the New Dawn. This is the one that I think I personally am looking forward to possibly the most on this list. Just looks like the proper successor to Dead Space. Very much more than the Callisto Protocol was. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. This includes both the base game and then the DLC that follows Yuffie Kisograti. I know I said that wrong. Final Fantasy 16 is available now on Xbox consoles. High on Life 2 is coming out this winter. Invincible Versus. It is a new fighting game that also I'm super stoked on. 3v3 Tag Team Fighter coming out in 2026. Mudang 2 Hearts, also 2026. Persona 4. I know this is a big one in the community. I've never played Persona, but it's pretty huge. It's coming to the Xbox console from my understanding. Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf. Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy also looks super awesome, though not quite as good as Chronos. We have Solo Leveling Arise Overdrive 2026 on console, 2025 for PC. This is a big one because, you know, they partnered with Dubby, our channel partner, to do some exclusive flavors. So go check out Dubby. You can get your exclusive flavors for the Solo Leveling Arise game. And then get 10% off with code General Nerdy when you go check it out. Anyway, Super Meat Boy 3D, and There Are No Ghosts at the Grand, which looks like a lot of fun for like family time. That looks like a really, really interesting game. That one's coming out in 2026 as well. Then we have DLC trailers from this. We have DLC updates for Age of Mythology Retold Heavenly Spear. This is going to include 12 new gods and is going to be free if you already own the premium edition of a game. That is how this should work. You buy the premium edition of a game and you get all of the future DLCs as part of that premium edition. I'm so tired, though that's not to say I'm going to stop, sadly, but I'm so tired of spending $300 on a Mortal Kombat game and then I still have to buy the 2 DLCs that follow. It's stupid. It sucks. I'm grateful for my collectibles, but like, let's at least also include the digital content, shall we? All right, continuing from there, Elder Scrolls Online Tales of Tamriel. A newest update to the now 10-year-old main story. This game has been out forever. Out now for PC and Mac, June 18th for console players. Fallout 76 Gone Fission. That's one of the more clever titles here. A new fishing mechanic introduced to the game. It is out now. There is a lot of stuff, the kind of quality of life updates that they've released with this one as well. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Order of the Giants will be out September 4th. It is DLC for that game. Sea of Thieves Smuggler's Tide will be out this August, and it will be free for all current players. So that is what we got from Xbox. Let's get into the Summer Games Fest. This one's going to go a little bit quicker because I'm going to have a little bit less to say about each individual one, but still going to stop and kind of address certain things. Anyway, so in reverse, or in alphabetical order rather, we have Arc Raiders, Atomic Heart 2, which looks freaking awesome. A Chrono Odyssey, Code Vein, Crimson Heart, Crystal, Theater of Idols, The Cube, which is from the Atomic Universe. That looks even better. Just Atomic Heart in multiplayer is basically how that works. Death Stranding 2 On the Beach. Of course I'm super stoked for that one. Demon Slayer, Kimsetu no Yaba, the Hinokami Chronicles. Wow, that's a lot of words I can't pronounce. Detective 8020, Dying Light, The Beast. That looks pretty dope, not gonna lie. End of Abyss, FBC Firebreak. That one looks fun. I really want to see a little bit more about it, though. Game of Thrones, War of Westeros. That one potentially could be life-sucking. Like, that looks like you could throw a lot of hours at it and get a whole bunch of different proper endings to the story, not just what the hell we got in the TV show. Anyway, Grave Sessions Ill is one that I'm extra super excited for because I love a good gore fest in a horror game, and that looks like a great gore fest in a horror game. Infinitesimals, Lego Voyager. This is a different kind of Lego game. The previous Lego games have been very cartoony and so on and so forth. This Lego game, while still in effect, is very lighthearted and family friendly, as it should be because it's a Lego game, but like the art style for this is much more realistic, and I'm super intrigued by that. I'm very intrigued as to what the differences are going to be from this Lego game and previous Lego games. Lies of P Overture, another Souls-like. Lies of P, the first one was great, so of course the continuation is going to be great as well. Mina the Hollower is one that I super am excited for as well. Just to love a good 2D side-scroll and beat-em-up platformer, everything. Mina the Hollower looks like it's got it all. Mixtape, Mortal Shell 2 looks dope. Onimusha, Way of the Sword, yeah, I'm intrigued by. Resident Evil Requiem, from all accounts to all the people who were at Games Fest and got to see the demo, because you didn't really play the demo, they were playing the demo in front of you. But the people who got to see the demo say that this is potentially one of the scariest Resident Evils that we've seen for some time. Scott Pilgrim EX, Shinobi, Art of Violence, Sonic Racing, Crossworlds, bunch of random crossover guest spots in this one. It's going to be really interesting. Stranger Than Heaven, The Witcher 4, of course, that one looks awesome because The Witcher. And Wu-Tang Rise of the Deceiver, that's another beat 'em up. It's another, I don't even know. It's like, oh, I'm going to brain fart the game. Oh no, I can't even, whatever. It's beat 'em up. Yeah, it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, that's what we have from Summer Games Fest. Go check out all of these trailers. They will, again, I'll have the Games Fest links down below in the show notes. And then we have the Sony State of Play. The 007 First Light is the game that we talked about last week and how it's going to be something different. Well, now we know how it's different because it's how James Bond gets his 007 tag. It's a prequel to the story, if you will. Astrobot, New Levels, Baby Steps. Oh god, that one looks ridiculous. We have Bloodstained, The Scarlet Engagement. Apparently Bloodstained is a series that I'm not aware of. Karn, Digimon Story, The Time Stranger. This one looks like a very mature Digimon game. That is not like mature, like M-rated, but like for an older audience. I feel like Digimon has aged up a little bit more than Pokemon, even though they both came out at about the same time. So that's pretty interesting. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. I know I said that wrong. Coming to PS5. Origami-inspired action game. That one looks like it's going to be super interesting. Lumines Arise. I remember playing Lumines when it first came out, the very, very first iteration on Xbox Live Arcade. I loved it then. It looks like they've only gotten better. Super stoked for that. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, 4v4 fighting game that is a Marvel game that is not put out by Capcom. It's going to ruffle some feathers. It kind of already has ruffled some feathers. It looks pretty awesome, though we will be keeping tabs on this one for sure because it's going to be something unique. We got another trailer for Metal Gear Solid Delta. It looks like they might be teasing multiplayer for Delta, which, if that's the case, let's go. Let's just get right on this, please. That's going to be incredible. Mortal Kombat Collection. This one's super interesting. So we have a whole bunch of games. We obviously have all of the 2D era games, but not just like one version. It's not like the last ROM that they created. These are the 2D era games in all of their iterations. So legitimately you have the arcade version, you have the Super Nintendo version, you have the Genesis version. I think even the PlayStation version was on there, although I don't know if that's really discernible. You at the very least have those three. I'm not looking at the specific details right here in front of me, but you at the very least have those three for the Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. So that's super interesting. But then you have a bunch of like random games. You have a couple of Game Boy Advance games of Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition, Mortal Kombat, what was it, Annihilation? Not Annihilation, that was the second movie. Oh, Deadly Alliance, that's what it was. Mortal Kombat, so you have Tournament Edition and Deadly Alliance, which is kind of the same roster, just a couple of differences, though the gameplay is pretty different. I have both of them on my Game Boy Advance. I played them extensively. But super interesting, the things that were left off, because a lot of the fan base associate Mortal Kombat 4 with, oh no, I think Mortal Kombat 4 was actually on there, but not Mortal Kombat Gold. No sign of Mortal Kombat Trilogy anywhere, though that's probably because these are all connected. You can play these online against other players, and Trilogy is broken, so much so that in places where they actually have Mortal Kombat Trilogy tournaments, is the word I'm looking for. Places where they actually have Mortal Kombat Trilogy tournaments, certain characters are off limits because they are so broken. So like, and they're not going to put extra time into fixing these characters. So I think that might be part of the motivation for why they don't have Trilogy on there. I mean, you effectively have all of the characters from Trilogy in this package. They're just not all in the exact same little bundle inside the package. So, but like, again, you have a couple of things missing. Why there's not a full-on console version of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance or Mortal Kombat Armageddon or anything like that seems interesting. Or no mention of Shaolin Monks yet either. And I say yet because there are apparently 4 empty games that they have yet to announce with this. They have said themselves there's going to be at least 4 games that are going to be coming with this package that are not yet announced. So there's been wild speculation as to what those 4 games are. I think it's a fairly safe bet considering as much love as Boone has given to Shaolin Monks. I think it's a fairly safe bet to say Shaolin Monks is probably going to be one of those 4, though the other 3 really are kind of up in the air. I think Unchained would be a great one because it is basically Deadly Alliance, just a couple of character roster changes, which is unique unto that very specific handheld version of that game, so that would be pretty awesome. Beyond that, I don't know what I want. Maybe a couple of the actual 3D era games and not just their Game Boy counterparts. But again, I'm wasting too much time on Mortal Kombat Collection. I'm very excited though. I don't know if you could tell. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. This is the side scroller, the 2D side scroller, and I am in love with this. Neo 3, Team Ninja's new game that looks freaking awesome. Pragmata, Capcom Sci-Fi Adventure is back. Project Defiant. Romeo is a Dead Man. This is the one that I had the most love for in the Sony State of Play. This one, and then also Felt That Boxing. I'm pretty sure it was at the State of Play and not at the other ones, but Felt That Boxing looks freaking hilarious and looks incredible. Like, it looks like you're actually playing as puppets, not just like, oh, that's a digital version of what is probably designed artistically like a puppet. No, it looks like you're actually playing puppets. It's pretty awesome. Where did I leave off? Romeo's Dead Man, Sea of Remnants, Silent Hill F. We got another release date. Oh, nope. We already had the release date for that one. Sorry. Sword of the Sea, Thief VR, and Tides of Tomorrow. Also mentioned here were new PlayStation Plus games. We have the original Deus Ex. We have Twisted Metal 3 and 4, and the original PlayStation versions of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. So crazy awesome stuff that has happened in gaming this week. There will be a Konami press event tomorrow as I'm filming this, so probably today as you're watching. We will talk about that next week. Also this week, just all of the info dump just keeps coming. We got the Apple press event. Apple WWDC 2025 this year was all about software. Yeah, we're moving quickly through this section, guys. All about software. No hardware was announced. The biggest change is a design overhaul called Liquid Glass. I'm sorry, I'm reading this. We'll put visuals up to make this more interesting to you, which brings more translucent and layered look to everything. Apple's also streamlining its OS system names, so everything is getting the 26 version number: iOS 26, iPad OS 26, Mac OS 26, so on and so forth. So they're jumping around so that they can unify, which is something I think hardware companies could take note of, because we got, NVIDIA's naming scheme is kind of a mess, and now AMD's naming scheme is going the same way. A huge focus was put on Apple Intelligence, which is their brand for a bunch of new AI-powered features. Includes stuff like live translation for calls and messages, smarter call screening, and the ability to create custom emojis called Genmojis, which they covered last year. And I guess they haven't fully rolled it out yet. Apple Watch, there's new Workout Buddy. Acts like an AI-powered personal trainer, giving you encouragement and feedback on your workouts, which I don't know how they're going to do that from the watch, but okay. And then also macOS is finally getting a phone app, so you can run phone things on your computer. You can take calls directly. iPadOS getting more powerful with better multitasking and a Mac style menu bar. Games app, we got a couple other apps going on in there, and yeah, just everything in one place is effectively how that's going. They're bringing it together. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 3 to 5 years that basically it's the same OS for all your devices effectively, and then you just the minor differences between the capability of the device and not necessarily the capability of the OS. So I think that going off of what we see here, that is, I think, the direction Apple's headed. But that's kind of always been the direction they've headed. It's just they kind of took a couple of side streets along the way. So that's everything we have for brand new news in gaming and tech. Let's talk about our suggestion for the week. Legitimately, there's so much stuff going on as far as like these presentations and stuff. Your suggestion for the week is to just put them on, tune out, enjoy the visuals, because there's a lot of really awesome gaming stuff that is headed our way. And the big three, we have, again, Sony State of Play, the Summer Games Fest, and the Xbox Showcase. All three of those presentations are approximately an hour and a half each or so. Watch them all if you really want to throw more in there. The Konami one's happening in a couple of days. And also there's the Outer Worlds 2 special presentation that happened after the Xbox Showcase that's got a lot of really cool stuff if you really want to get into the Outer Worlds 2 and stuff. But yeah, that is your suggestion for the week. Just go watch all those presentations and enjoy it, because we have a great year and a half or so of gaming ahead of us. And yeah, that's what we got there.
Subscribe. That is all.
So for comic books and books this week, things are getting a little weird and big. We have the strange return of Danny Rand. That's going to be a whole thing unto itself. And then we also have the reboot universe for Godzilla, the new shared universe that they're calling Kai-Sei Era. We have all the info for that, so let's get into it. That's all we got. It's just really the two things, but they're still worth talking about, so let's go. Okay, no follow-ups and corrections, no trailers in comic books. We do just have news to cover. First up is Undead Iron Fist. So Danny Rand is returning to the role of Iron Fist, but he's returning in a very different kind of way. After his death in the 50th anniversary special a little while back, writer Jason Liu said that the plan was always to bring him back. Just the details as to how that was going to happen is where they still had to work things out. This is apparently how they have chosen to work things out. Now Rand is coming back in order to... It seems like he's kind of an anti-hero in this instance, in this iteration, because he wants to expose the lies of the Iron Fist. Because if the prophecy says the Iron Fist has to die at 33, how do you kill an immortal Iron Fist? Like, how does that work? So that's effectively going to be his motivation through this arc. You should see it on your shelves in the not too distant future. The other book that we have to talk about in comics and books this week is Godzilla, the new Godzilla in the Kai-Sei Era. We have number 1 will be on shelves July 23rd, so next month. Kicks off this new shared universe. The story is set in a world that has been dealing with constant monster attacks since Godzilla first appeared in 1954. While Japan has learned to treat the kaiju like natural disasters, the American G-Force is still focused on fighting them. They discover a young boy named Jason who can harness the same energy as Godzilla, believing he may be the key to winning the war. Book is written by Tim Seeley and art by Nicola, I'm not going to be able to say that last name, and is set to be released again July 23rd of this year is when book 1 hits the shelves. That's pretty cool. Godzilla is a very difficult thing for modern writers to really write well so as to please modern audiences. I think this has the potential to figure that out. So I'm pretty excited for it. But that is what we have for news this week. Our suggestion for comic books this week is Marvel Zombies. It's been a little while since we talked about this one. It's one of my favorite all-time comics that I have. I think I have the first 3 in the series. There's 5 or 7, I can't remember. But the first book, the first trade, is 5 issues of floppies that ran from December of 2005 through April of 2006. Written by Robert Kirkman, art from Sean Phillips, and covers by a few different people, honestly. But the big one is Arthur Sidem. It was the first, the suggestion is the first book, those first 5 floppies, because that kind of lays the groundwork for what everything else is that comes out of this universe. Just kind of seeing this other universe and seeing just how crazy this zombie virus gets is just kind of cool to sit back and read. And so that's why it's your suggestion. I just wanted something big and easy to read and just a hell of a lot of fun. And this was the first thing that came to mind. Like, what should we suggest for the week? We haven't talked about zombies for a long time. So Marvel Zombies it is, baby. Go check out Marvel Zombies. You can get the first 5 issues as a trade. It is a bunch of different mini-series that aren't directly related, though they are related. So the first one is just Marvel Zombies. It's pretty awesome. That's your suggestion for the week. And then over to the small screen for TV news. We have some big things going on here, mostly trailers. We have everyone's favorite post-apocalyptic automotive mayhem returning for its second season. We have a trailer and a release date. We're beaming back to the final frontier for what seems to be the last season of Strange New Worlds. We have trailer and release date there. And if you're looking for something a little spooky, then we have Stephen King to get you covered on that one. There's a new series based on his book, The Institute, that we're going to talk about, and we have a new trailer for that one as well. So, all of that and a little bit more, let's do TV news, shall we? Okay, so let's talk about some follow-ups here in TV streaming. We have one follow-up, one kind of big. I'm not going to oversell it, I guess. Stewart fails to save the universe. This is just a super interesting follow-up. So this is the follow-up to The Big Bang Theory. It's focusing on Stewart, the comic book shop owner. So Chuck Lorre told Variety in a recent interview that there's going to be lots of CGI in this. We're going to have a bunch of CG elements in this. More than he's ever dealt with on a show previously. So not that he really dealt with much in The Big Bang Theory, but there was some, especially in the last few seasons. So to say that this is the most he's ever dealt with, that's really interesting. I'm going to, because we don't know a whole lot about what the story necessarily is going to be, I'm going to put this out there, this is my own speculation, that Stewart fails to save the universe is going to be a lot of Stewart, the comic shop owner, going off on daydreams. And in those daydreams, he goes in crazy comic book style adventures, and that's why they're using a lot of CG in this show. So that kind of, it makes sense when you know the character and then you know, like, you know, TV budgets and things. It's going to be interesting, especially with AI kind of bringing down CG budgets these days. It's going to be something special. Anyway, so that's our one follow-up. Let's talk about our trailers that we got this week. Twisted Metal Season 2, July 31st. Go check out this trailer. It's not technically a trailer. It's just 2 minutes of action, approximately 2 minutes of action from the show. And this is what I expected season 1 to be, and now we're finally getting it with season 2. So I really hope they really lean into this stuff, because this is the game. This is why we played the game, was for action like this. And then Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 comes July 17th. This is another trailer. We get a little bit more taste of what's going to happen in this season. A little bit more Spock and stuff. Also, a little bit of Patton Oswalt being super cringy. I mean, I know he's a famous nerd, but like, he's still kind of super cringe, so please let's stop putting him in all of these nerdy properties. Anyway, season 1, continuing with the Strange New World stuff, season 1 is going to be up for free on Pluto. So if you have Pluto, or if you don't have Pluto, go get it. It's free. Why wouldn't you have Pluto? But you'll be able to watch season 1 of Strange New Worlds on Pluto for free starting this coming Monday. So that's pretty freaking awesome. And then our other trailer this week is The Institute, a new Stephen King series that is going to be coming to MGM Plus July 13th. So MGM Plus is the same streamer that brought us the From series, and so now they have another horror series that looks like it's going to be highly addictive. I'm not a big Stephen King fan, but this trailer really does something for me. So go check it out, see what you think. That's what we got for trailers. We have no regular news this week for TV streaming, but we do have a suggestion, and that suggestion is Black Mirror Season 7. Oh my God, go watch this. Every episode is what you want from a Black Mirror show, save for maybe episode 3, which is the something noir? Where the hell did it go? It's in here, I know it is. Whatever, episode 3, I wasn't a fan. The one, Hotel Reverie, that's what it was. Hotel Reverie, just, there's way too much that doesn't make sense. I know it's science fiction, and I know it's in the same vein of Twilight Zone, so there's stuff that you're not supposed to understand, but they still do it in a way that makes sense in modern day. In Hotel Reverie, none of the tech works, makes any sort of logical, there's no logical explanation for how the tech works in relation to how it could have evolved from today's technology into that. Whereas all of the other great episodes of Black Mirror, which season 7 is legitimately 5 great episodes of Black Mirror and 1 not so great episode. All the other great episodes of Black Mirror you can understand the logic. Well, I say that again, and there is a little caveat to that, considering the Bête Noire episode. That one's a little ridiculous, but still, the ridiculousness there, except for the way that episode ends, like, there is a scientific way we could get there. It would very, very long shot make sense, but still make sense. Whereas we know the way the technology evolves, and in Hotel Reverie, that's not the way technology evolves. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent for the suggestion. Legitimately, an amazing season of Black Mirror. I can't believe Charlie Brooker really was able to do it again, and he did. And yes, go watch season 7 Black Mirror. Highly, highly recommend. That is your suggestion for the week. All right, so we're going to take another second here real quick and remind you that this is the season of the merch. We are pushing merch this season real hard. I just put up the surprise, quote-unquote, surprise drop for, I think, honestly, I might just keep this one on the store just because I think it's pretty silly. I don't know, I'm proud of myself in my stupidity, but it's the Confused Millennial t-shirt, Confused Millennial design, because it's more than a t-shirt. You got the hoodie, you got the long sleeve, you got the sticker, you got the mug, you got the shopping bag, all of these options up at the general store, linked down in the description of this episode. You can go check that out. Purchase any one of those things. No coupon code right now because we're not doing our monthly shirt. That begins next week. Next week you'll be getting another 10% coupon code with the design for the month, the temporary design for the month, which I think is going to be real juicy for all of you cinema and music nerds out there. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But right now, go check out the Confused Millennial design and all of the other basic nerd designs up at the Nerdy store right now. I thank you, as always, nerds, for checking it out. Again, stay tuned to the Nerdy stores, the general store, for updated designs every month. We drop at least 1 new design every month. Go check that out. We'll see you over there. But now let's finish the show, shall we? And then over to the big screen for movie news, we have another massive star being cast in the next Star Wars movie alongside Ryan Gosling. In other reboot news, we have finally some signs of moving forward with the Henry Cavill-led Highlander movie. There's some updates there. And for all the DC stans out there, James Gunn has come out and confirmed a couple of things as far as standalone movies that we are to be expecting in the future. So we're going to talk about that. We got a little bit more than that too, so let's do some movie news. So let's talk movies, follow-ups rather. We have the new screenwriter for Mortal Kombat 2. It's not the guy who wrote the first movie, it's the guy who's right in the center. Jeremy Slater is equating Mortal Kombat 2 to Avengers Endgame in the anticipation that the fandom has for the movie. No. While, yes, I am one of the biggest Mortal Kombat fans probably out there. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty who are bigger, but I would say I'm in the top 10% of all Mortal Kombat fans. I'm pretty huge. Whatever. I'm not going to quantify that more. I am very much anticipating this next movie. October 24th cannot get here soon enough because I am champing at the bit to get into the theater and watch this damn movie. But that being said, I am part of the very, very small minority. And honestly, I think it's such a different cultural event. Whereas Avengers Endgame was 15 years worth of quality entertainment, maybe not quality cinema, but quality entertainment, kind of culminating into this thing. Whereas Mortal Kombat 2 is, well, the last movie was pretty good. There were definitely some issues with it. Hopefully they can fix those issues with the next movie. That's kind of where the fan base is at with this. So not even close to the same level of Endgame anticipation or hype. However, the fan base is pretty rabid, so we are all going to see it probably a few times. But again, in the greater nerdy contingency, I think we are a rather small portion of it. So yeah, that kind of is what it is. But next, real quick follow-up, we have Zelda, the live-action movie, has been pushed back about 5 weeks. It is now coming out May 7th, which, if you'll remember, was previously going to be the release date for Avengers Doomsday. So that happened. And then we have Superman. Superman release date is an interesting situation right now because we have early release for certain people. People in the EU get it a day early, so it'll be released on the 10th instead of the 11th. But if you are a Prime member, if you have Amazon Prime, you can get an even earlier screening, 3 days earlier. July 8th, to be exact, is going to be the day that you can watch Superman in theaters. It's Fandango is the company that is selling the tickets, and there's a link in the description if you want to go try and figure it out. I tried to figure it out and it was super confusing. I don't think it was actually functioning properly. Hopefully it is by now if you go check out that link. But so it's Fandango partnered with with Warner Brothers, and it's going to be certain theaters that are partnered with Fandango in a certain way. I don't know exactly what the relationship is. All I know is that the closest theater to me is like an hour away. Very much considering doing it, but like I said, I couldn't figure out the ticketing process. But July 8th, if you are in the States and you have an Amazon Prime membership, you will be able to get tickets through Fandango and get, early screening for that. So if you don't have Prime or you're not going to do this on July 8th, stay away from Twitter until July 11th if you care about spoilers at all for this movie. So be warned. Resident Evil is our next one. Resident Evil reboot film from Zach Krager is finally moving into principal photography this summer. We got word official from the studio, from Krager himself, I'm pretty sure, saying that they will be moving into principal photography this summer. A Star Wars Starfighter, this is a casting announcement. So this is the Ryan Gosling starring movie. It has just been announced that they have also cast Mia Goth in an undisclosed role going forward. Once we get a little bit closer, I know there's going to be a lot of rumors around this. We'll be covering those, and we'll be covering actual follow-ups to this once we know a little bit more. And then continuing on with follow-ups and corrections, we have 2 more follow-ups. First one being the Highlander series, the Highlander movie rather. Henry Cavill has confirmed that they will be going into principal photography on that reboot movie in September, very specifically. And then Alien Romulus, the new sequel for that movie, is going into pre-production right now. So they're doing final scripting. We're also looking at probably some location scouting, etc., etc. So super excited. They're moving forward with what was one of the better Alien movies, in all honesty. Like, say what you will about it being kind of bland. At least it got the lore right for the most part, and at least like it wasn't boring, it wasn't exceptional, but like we need something to kind of lock us back into that franchise before we can get something exceptional, I think. And I think that movie did well, so hopefully the sequel to Romulus will do a little bit more in the exceptional realm. That is what we have for follow-ups. Let's talk about trailers. We got one that I honestly either forgot or just plain didn't know was happening. We have another Dracula movie coming out. It's from Luc Besson, who you'll recognize that name because he's the guy who did The Fifth Element. Yeah, that guy. He's doing a Dracula movie, and it looks like it's going to be some sort of interesting amalgamation of the 90s one with Keanu Reeves, which was fairly faithful to the Bram Stoker's novel, and then also Dracula Untold, because we're going to get a little bit more of the backstory of who Dracula is. But like the stylization on this looks pretty incredible. And it's also going to be featuring Christoph Waltz in the role of Van Helsing, it looks like. So that's kind of huge. Go check out that trailer. I was unable, here's the weird part about this. Now I'm sending you to this trailer very trepidatiously because it almost seems like this might be a fan-made trailer because I was unable to find an official studio release on YouTube for this trailer, and all of the releases all have the French subtitles. So I know Luc Besson, I'm pretty sure actually Luc Besson is French, so that kind of makes sense, but like there is a slim possibility this isn't actually a thing, which is why I didn't know about it, but I don't know everything, so maybe it just slipped through the cracks as far as my research goes, but it still looks cool either way, so I guess go check it out just for the cool visuals and the possibility of it being awesome, but it very well could be real, very likely is real, but we're moving on. Next up, we have Eddington is a new A24 movie, written and directed by Ari Aster, so if you know Ari Aster's work, you know this is going to be weird, and it's starring Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Luke Grimes, Deirdre O'Connell, Mike Ward, and Austin Butler and Emma Stone. It's a comedy from Ari Aster with an incredible cast. Like that is an insane cast. Releasing in theaters July 18th. Yeah, go watch this trailer, see what it does for you, because it's I think the fact that it's not crazy outlandishly weird is kind of what's weirding me out the most. So yeah, go check it out. Our last trailer for this episode is, we finally got a trailer for Wicked number 2, I guess is what we're calling it right now. The second Wicked movie is releasing November, I believe, 26th. And yeah, it'll be out this November for sure. Why it took them this long to release this? Because they filmed both movies at the same time. So did they really need to make us wait 2 years? That doesn't seem right. Or was it's a year and a half, something like that. So yeah, that's what we got for trailers. Let's talk about our regular ass news. We have one piece of regular ass news, and that is Wonder Woman. James Gunn has confirmed that they are in fact working on a new standalone Wonder Woman movie. It is presumed that they will be recasting the role of Wonder Woman. I feel like that's kind of obvious at this point. If they didn't keep Cavill around, they're not going to be keeping What's-Her-Toes around either. So yeah, that's... Wonder Woman is happening. James Gunn has confirmed that it is for real a thing. Actually, I believe he even dropped kind of a Justice League reference almost. So very likely we'll be looking at that in the future as well. But that is what we got for regular news. Let's talk about our suggestion for the week. We're going for another freebie for suggestions in movies this week, and that is The Coneheads. It's up over on Tubi TV. This is kind of nerd classic, the science fiction comedy. Comes from an SNL bit, starring Dan Aykroyd. What's the other actors in this? Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, and Michelle Burke, all starring in this. And I watched it again for the first time in probably 15 years, and forgot just how dang funny that stupid show is. It's really awkward humor. It's very 90s humor for sure that hasn't maybe aged perfectly, but God, it's great. So that's your suggestion for the week. Just go watch Dan Aykroyd be amazing for an hour and a half with Jane Curtin and Michelle Burke. It's Coneheads. Suggestion. It's fun. Tubi. Watch it. Yeah. Let's move on.
Subscribe. That is all.
Maybe. It's classified.
And then finally, let's close things out with the rumor mill. Remember, these are just some whispers, but some of those whispers are getting pretty loud. So first up, we have the biggest crossover that Fortnite has seen for some time. Like they've had some pretty big ones. This one's kind of an institution though that's crossing over with them. We'll talk about that. We also have Ryan Gosling being cast in the MCU. So a second Disney role for Gosling, but it's not exactly what you think it might be. And we have a major Avenger about to meet their doom at the hands of Doctor Doom, according to the rumor mill. We have that, and then maybe one or two others. Rumor mill's not very big this week, but we still got to talk about it, so let's go. Okay, so no confirmations or refutations, no new sources on old rumors, just new rumors. And honestly, just 4 new rumors to talk about this week. Not a big rumor mill per se, but a lot of fun nonetheless. So new rumors are Fortnite kicking us off. Fortnite crossover with The Simpsons is the newest leak. All of the previous Fortnite leaks have come to pass, so there is no reason to think this one won't. We're giving this one 95% likelihood that it will happen, because of course it will. There's going to be, according to the leak, there's going to be a whole freaking map. So the entire town of Springfield, wherever the hell, is going to be in Fortnite for this event. I'm excited. It's been a long time since we got that. Since the, what was it, Simpsons Unleashed or whatever the hell that open world GTA style game was back in the day. Next up is Black Panther. This one is so ridiculous. So we have a new Black Panther rumor that says Ryan Gosling is going to be cast as the new white Black Panther. That being said, it sounds a little ridiculous. Let's give a little bit of backstory on this. Very recently, in the comic books, we didn't cover it on the show because I think it's definitely just Marvel trolling their fan base like they want to do these days. But in comic books, very recently, it has been revealed that T'Challa's son is white, and he is set to take over the mantle of Black Panther. Therefore, a white Black Panther. Just to troll the fans, right? Apparently, according to this rumor, because it is creating such a stir in the comic book side of things, they're going to test their luck on the movie side of things as well. Ryan Gosling cast as Black Panther. I don't see this happening for a number of reasons, not the least of which is because T'Challa's son is being turned into a villain, so it's going to be a villainous white guy as Black Panther. See, just more poking the bear with this stuff. So there's that. I don't think Gosling really wants to be a mustache twirling villain, which is, it seems it's the direction they're going with it. But also, he just signed on to Star Wars. Why would he also be trying to do a Marvel movie at the same time? There is not a universe nearby, I think, even, that this is going to be happening in. So we're going to say about 15% we're going to be seeing Ryan Gosling as the heir to the Black Panther throne. That just does not... They've already established in the Marvel Universe, in the MCU, they've already established that T'Challa's son is black. So, like, this would be a hardcore retcon just to troll on the normies this time. I just don't see that happening. Anyway, next up we have Doomsday. Big rumor for the Doomsday movie is that Thor is going to pass away. He's going to no longer be in this mortal coil by the end of the Doomsday movie, as taken out by the hand of none other than Dr. Doom himself. Sounds reasonable. I can't believe that Chris Hemsworth is going to be moving forward for much longer, if at all, past this movie anyway. So what better way to take him out than the same way they took out, I guess maybe not the same way, but very similar to the way they took out Robert Downey Jr. and have the big bad of the moment be the one that takes him out. And then have that be motivation to fight the big bad in the next movie, right? It makes sense. Yeah, so 80% likely that we will be seeing Thor fall. I don't know exactly that he'll fall to the hand of Doom. Very likely he will, but I think the biggest likelihood here is that Thor's just going to pass, however that happens, and if it's by the hand of Doom, all the better, I think. So that being said, we have one other rumor this week, and it is the Vision Quest show over on Disney Plus. We know it's coming. The big rumor here is who the villain is going to be. Is reportedly going to be Power Broker. If you remember back from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Power Broker over on the island where Wolverine is Patch. Why can't I? Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I'm brain farting the name of the island. I apologize. Madripoor. The villain over at Madripoor was Power Broker, and Power Broker was Peggy Carter. Peggy Carter has now turned a new leaf, and she's been a good guy, and things are different now. So with this being with Power Broker being the big bad, according to the rumor, there is no set absolute that it is going to be Peggy Carter as Power Broker, but some other person taking up the mantle of Power Broker seems more likely if that is the case. I think, assuming that's the direction they go, they're going to use Peggy Carter as a red herring. assuming that this is the direction they end up going, she's going to be the red herring for sure, because Power Broker was previously her, but now she's, again, gone good. So 65% likely that it will be Power Broker, not Peggy Carter, Power Broker, but Power Broker nonetheless, will be the villain for Vision Quest. And that is what we have for the rumor mill this week. No speculation really to speak of either, so we're just going to move on. And that puts us into housekeeping this week, nerds. Really don't have a whole lot of housekeeping. We are a couple of weeks away from things getting really weird again, but I'll kind of inform you on that. We actually might have a quick show next week just because certain things, I don't know, are looking to be lining up to getting in the way. But it's personal life stuff that seems to always pop up at a very inopportune time. It very well could not be. It could be a nothing burger and we'll just have a regular episode, but I don't know. I'll explain it at the beginning of the next episode if things change. But yeah, in a few weeks we are going to get a little weird again just for travel purposes and whatnot and so forth. But as it stands right now, I think we've got a couple of weeks of just regular ass episodes. So nothing really to speak of in housekeeping. So thank you very much, nerds. Let's say goodbye. We'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and do all of the things, share the show with everyone you know, because that is the way that shows like this can grow. That's just honestly the best way to get any podcast, any sort of listening audience. So appreciate your faces, nerds. Come back next time for more news, and we'll see you then. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.